In the year 264 BC, a spark kindled a firestorm, engulfing the Mediterranean for nearly a century. The Punic Wars saw Rome, the rising eagle of Italy, clash with Carthage, the seafaring titan of North Africa, their ambitions entwined in a deadly dance. The First Punic War unfolded, a saga of 23 grueling years roaring across the seas and Sicilian shores. Roman legions, green in naval warfare, learned the ropes in bloody battles. Carthage, mistress of the waves, fought tooth and nail to protect her dominance. In the end, Rome, bloodied but unbowed, emerged victorious, seizing Sicily and claiming its first taste of Mediterranean power. However, Carthage, wounded but undefeated, refused to yield. The Second Punic War saw Hannibal, a young lion with fire in his eyes, lead his army across the impossible Alps, striking fear into the heart of Rome. Names like Trabia became battle cries echoing through valleys stained with blood. Hannibal's tactical genius carved victories, yet under the rising sun of Scipio Africanus, Rome found its own champion. Scipio, a cunning wolf against a fiery lion, weaved strategies turning defeats into triumphs. After years of bloody stalemate, Hannibal's dream of empire crumbled, and Rome stood tall as the undisputed lord of the Western Mediterranean. Yet, the gods of war demanded one final sacrifice, the Third Punic War in 149 BC. In the ashes of Carthage's faded power, a phoenix of prosperity rose. Markets hummed, trade routes flourished, and wealth blossomed. Whispers of alarm turned to cries of fear, fueled by the fiery pronouncements of Cato the Elder, who declared, "Carthage must be destroyed." In a convenient pretext, an alleged treaty violation and skirmish with their ambitious neighbor Massinissa became the Roman justification. Armies marched on Africa, demanding reparations tantamount to surrender. Carthage, though weakened, refused to submit. Their spirit, honed by centuries of trade and struggle, roared in defiance. Goaded by Roman arrogance, they rose in righteous revolt. The clash of arms would decide the fate of empires. Etched forever in the epic saga of Rome and Carthage, cornered but unbowed, Carthage transformed its workshops into forges of war. The city bristled with desperate defiance, knowing a siege was imminent. In 149 BC, the Roman storm crashed down, and for 2 arduous years, the siege raged, a stalemate of ingenuity and bloodshed. Romans, lacking the spark, struggled against Carthaginian defenses until fate intervened. Young officer Scipio Aemilianus the Younger stepped forward. His lineage held the weight of history, and he saw not just walls, but a lifeline, the harbor. With strategic genius, he erected a colossal wall, severing the city's maritime artery. Supplies dwindled, hope flickered, but Carthage hung on. Undeterred, Scipio launched his assault. The harbor, once a gateway to prosperity, became a battleground. Roman ships pounded defenses while Carthaginian defenders rained fiery death. Inch by bloody inch, Romans pushed forward, Ziga towers grinding against city walls. Carthage, not built to fall easily, turned every house into a fortress, every street into a killing field. Hand-to-hand combat ensued, brutal and unforgiving. The screams of the dying echoed through narrow alleys, a chilling symphony of war's cruelty. Slowly, inevitably, the tide turned. Houses fell, streets were breached, and Carthaginians were pushed back step by agonizing step. The fight for the citadel, the city's heart, was the crescendo. Amidst rubble and carnage, the final stand unfolded. In the heart of Carthage, atop the citadel crowned by the temple of Baal-Hamon, the fate of Carthage hung by a thread. Gisco, the city's commander, rallied his remaining warriors. faces etched with the grim knowledge of their predicament. They were the last bastion of a civilization, surrounded, their backs against the very stones that bore Carthage's glorious past. They fought with unwavering ferocity. Watching from afar, Scipio saw desperation and valor on both sides. He knew the cost of victory, the blood spilled for honor and conquest. Carthage, a thorn in Rome's side for centuries, could not be allowed to exist. With a heavy heart, he ordered a final push. The Romans, fueled by renewed fervor, breached the gate. The battle within the citadel became a whirlwind of clashing blades and desperate screams. Houses crumbled, flames licked at the night sky, casting an eerie glow over the carnage. Every step forward for the Romans was met with a Carthaginian life claimed. Gisco, a lion surrounded by hungry wolves, fought with the fury of a cornered animal. He cut down Roman after Roman, his armor stained crimson, his strength waning. Finally surrounded, he fell, his dying breaths a guttural curse upon his enemies. With their leader gone, the Carthaginians' resistance faltered. One by one, they were overwhelmed, their cries fading into the night. By dawn, the citadel stood silent, a monument not to victory, but to the tragic demise of a once great city. However, for Scipio, victory tasted like ashes. He witnessed the devastation, and the ghost of Pyrrhus seemed to whisper in his ear, "One more such victory and I am undone." In his heart, Carthage's fiery demise held a chilling prophecy for Rome's own future. Driven by a complex mix of emotions, vengeance, fear, and a twisted sense of justice, Scipio stood before the Roman Senate. He spoke of Carthage not as a fallen enemy, but as a venomous serpent whose fangs must be crushed, lest they rise again. He painted a chilling picture: fertile fields rendered barren, the very ground cursed to ensure Carthage would never rise from its grave. "Let us not simply raise their city," he declared, his voice echoing through the chamber, "but erase it from the very fabric of time. Let us sow the earth with salt, a barren testament to their defiance, a symbol that Rome's wrath leaves nothing but dust and despair." Swayed by Scipio's eloquence and their ingrained fear of Carthage, the Senate voted in favor of this drastic measure. News of the decree reached the smoldering ruins, sending a fresh wave of anguish through the survivors. Roman soldiers marched in not to plunder but to carry out the chilling task. Sacks of salt were ripped open, and their white grains cascaded onto the once proud streets and fertile soil that had nurtured generations of Carthaginians. The act was symbolic, a brutal performance of dominance. Yet, as the last grains of salt fell, a chilling wind seemed to rise, carrying with it the whispers of a curse. Did it echo the Carthaginians' pleas for vengeance, or was it a premonition for Rome itself? A warning that empires too could crumble, their own soil sown with the salt of their own ambition. Time would tell, and the centuries that followed would witness the rise and fall of empires. Whispers of Carthage's fate would haunt the corridors of power. Would Rome, intoxicated by its victory, tread the same path of hubris and ultimately face its own demise? Or would the memory of Carthage serve as a cautionary tale, a reminder of the fleeting nature of dominance and the devastating cost of unchecked ambition? The answer, like the wind carrying the whispers of the fallen city, would forever remain veiled in the sands of time.